Hey, what's up? I'm Joel Madden, and this is Artist Friendly. On this episode, I'll be talking to multi-platinum, Grammy Award-winning country singer-songwriter Lainey Wilson, whose new album, Whirlwind, is out now, and she's headlining Country's Cool Again tour, which will wrap up in November. Let's go.
That's my kind. I don't want no bad times. I don't want to have bad.
You have a very nice, drawl. It's nice.
It's a drawl.
It's charming.
It's a drawl.
Yeah. It's nice, especially, and you're a country singer. So that's kind of the experience you want to have.
That's right.
When you meet a country singer, you're like, oh, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no, it's actually when I moved to Nashville, I thought I was moving there to meet a lot of people who sounded like me that were going to be doing country music.
It was different. It's
I was
New York. Might as well be New York.
Fish out of water.
Yeah.
But,
do you live in Nashville now?
Yeah, I've been there 13 years.
Do you love it?
I love it. I mean, it's kicked my butt quite a few times.
Yeah.
I've been there, like I said, 13 years since 2011, but it's awesome because I've met my people.
Yeah, and you get to do what you love.
That's it. So many creative people that have just moved there for the same reason. And
yeah.
It's a good town. Have you spent much time in Nashville?
Yeah, I have.
You have?
My older brother lives there.
I did not know he lives there.
Yeah, my brother Josh.
Yep.
He lives in Franklin.
Love it.
Yeah, him and his wife, and he has a daughter. And we have an office there for our music company. So I go to Nashville a few times a year.
Okay.
But I've been there over the years a ton because every now and then I would go down there to write songs. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of my friends live down there. It's funny because when you go back to Maryland and people are like, why don't you live here still? And you're like, well, I love it here, but I can't do what I love here. And so how do what do I choose? A place I love or a thing I love that I felt like the thing you are, music.
100%.
You have to go where the music is.
That's right. And for me, it's more about the people in my town rather than the town. I mean, my town is nothing but cornfields and not even a stoplight. We have a caution light, and that was a big deal to get one of those.
Yeah.
We were like, we got a caution light.
Finally.
Yeah, but I'm very proud of where I come from. Yeah. And
I can feel that.
I am who I am because of the place that raised me.
Yeah, it's the fabric.
But there is nothing like meeting people and I guess you could say chasing something together with somebody.
Yeah, you go to where there's a bunch of other dreamers and you're dreaming about this thing and it's elusive at first. Mm-hmm. But then you're there and you start to meet people and you're like, oh, it's actually attainable. It's not it's not magic.
No.
You can work really hard and get somewhere.
That's right.
With your dream, whether, and I always think a lot of times we're sold in music and in entertainment like it's this magic thing and this guy's got to wave a wand and
I wish.
And you don't realize it's kind of like any other business. You have to be good at it.
For sure.
You have to work really hard and you have to try a bunch of days in a row and then just keep doing that for many, many years. And then you start seeing, oh, I'm getting somewhere.
That's right.
And of course, you could say oh, my big break, but there are no real big breaks. It's a bunch of little breaks. Because even if you meet the guy and you get the thing and you sign the record deal or you get the first publishing deal or this, you still have to show up.
It still does not mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything.
Not a thing. It's when you're 16, you're like, if I could just get that car.
Yeah.
If I could just get the boyfriend, if I could just, get a degree, if I could just get my first guitar. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
And you're you didn't think about, oh, now I need to get the job to put gas in the car. And then I'll drive the car to the job and I'll do the job. And then it's you don't think about the complexity and the layers of what it actually means to have a life.
Yeah.
And too many aspiring artists, right? I'll call them artists, not to disrespect them, but they're aspiring to become artists that can do what you do. And they look at you and they go, it must be nice. You're like,
it wasn't
actually,
always.
sometimes it's not that nice.
That's
actually,
right.
It's really hard.
That's right. It is hard. And what I've realized is my struggles that I had in 2011 when I moved to town, when I was living in a little camper trailer, I lived in that thing for 3 years.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Did you rent it from someone?
No, I bought it from Louisiana and hauled it to Nashville.
Entrepreneur.
Parked it down.
Yeah. No one can take that.
No. And what I've realized is, even 7 years after that is when I finally got a publishing deal, because I would consider myself a songwriter before, an artist. And then year 8, got a record deal. It still did not mean anything. It just means that, all right, you've been preparing for the race. You just entered it and now you're about to run it. And that just continues. But that's also the cool thing about this business too, is it keeps you on your toes.
And it keeps you living a life where you have things to write about.
That's it.
There's a lot of pain in it, a lot of suffering, a lot of joy,
ups and
highs,
downs.
lows. I was watching the Olympics and I was watching all these athletes that train their whole life to not get a medal.
And just for a few seconds. So it's, yeah.
You know, we're looking at everyone that's like the first place, second place, third place. And there's all these other ones that like train their whole life.
Their whole life.
And I thought, I always bring things back to art and music because I don't think people contextualize what it took to get that record made, the life you had to live to write that song.
That's right. All the things that go into it.
Are you excited about your new record?
Oh, I'm partial, but
It's good.
I'm very pumped. I mean, we were working on this thing before the other one came out.
Yeah.
A couple years ago. And I mean, the past couple years of my life has been changing like constantly, daily. And we just had to kind of rise to the occasion with everything. And what I realized is I think I might do a little bit better under pressure.
Yeah.
Because I do think this stuff is the best stuff that I've done so far. And my band got to be a part of it. And you can hear a lot of their influences and
the
their
music
backgrounds.
is good.
Thank you. Jay Joyce, he's mad scientist.
It's interesting. It really does feel like that on the record. It feels like a band's playing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now that you tell me.
Yeah, I mean, like I've got my guitar player comes from like a punk background, and then you've got some of them come from funk, jazz, blues, rock, like you name it, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. The record is very musical.
I'll take that.
It's really got some like musical layers to it.
Thank you.
It doesn't sound like a producer made a track and then you wrote on it. You know what I mean?
No.
It's so good to hear that.
Yep. No, I love working with Jay Joyce because I feel like, well, first of all, before we even decided to work together years ago, he like took the time to really get to know me and like my personality, my background, my story. And I think that has kind of been the special sauce. That's what kind of makes our relationship, and this record specifically, just feel a little bit different.
It's really good.
Thank you. I'm glad. That means a lot coming from you.
Really?
Yes.
Thank you.
I value your opinion.
It's really good. I love country music. So I listen with a very, I don't want to say critical ear, but I've been making records a long time. So I hear stuff on records. And when I hear a really musically rich record, it's refreshing.
For sure.
And I can get down with like a pop track and all that. Every song's different, but every now and then you'll hear some music and you can hear it live. You can hear the it sounds like, oh, that now I'd go see that live.
Well, and that's what we were trying to make sure happened because I mean the past couple years since we put out our last record, we played hundreds of shows.
Yeah.
There's really no telling how many that we have actually played. And so we have seen what works, what don't. And I went in there and I just said, like, I need some thump, whatever that means. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm not going to know what it is until I hear it. And I think we found it. I think it's almost like we were all on the same page about what was missing from our live show without really even talking about it.
It happens when you do that together.
Yeah.
You live together for a few years out there on the road.
That's right.
You just kind of organically, that's why touring is so important in development.
That's right. It is. We've just found it along the way.
Yeah.
And we'll keep on finding it.
Yeah, I was talking to an artist the other day and they were like, what should I do? And I was like, you're playing all these shows. That's what you should do.
That's right.
Go out and play. Because you also like, you don't realize it, but when you're on the stage, you are actually like forming. So you've accomplished a lot and it's been hard work, but that's what it means to be a great artist. It means to have to work really hard for however long, and everyone's journey is different. But you know, whenever I see any artist doing well, and you kind of know who's been at it or whatever, but you know hard work has gone into that, right? And then you see people who push it further, and they get a better live show, and they take it. And there's different levels that you can never stop growing. But while you're out there, I think you're kind of like learning. You're watching people's faces, and you're like seeing their reactions. And you're seeing when you hit a chord on a song and open a song up, you start to see the same thing every night. You're like, oh, when we play that song, like immediately everyone smiles and you start to like notice, and that informs the stadium show one day.
That's right.
When you put that set together, it's thousands of hours and minutes and words and feelings that you're designing. I think you're one of those like stadium country acts. Like it's
fingers crossed.
No, I just think so. I think like there's a few that could do it and fill the space. And I think you have the personality. I think you have the songs, and I think you have the ability to accept it. Some people, it's hard for them to accept when they get to certain levels, right? You have to kind of hold it.
Oh, yes. And two, like, I mean, it sounds cliche or whatever you want to call it, but like, I've always known I was going to do this, even when I was 9 years old. When I wrote my first song and my parents took me to Nashville for the first time.
They knew it too.
They knew it.
Yeah.
And so they helped do anything they could to like encourage me and lift me up. And it makes me sad to know that, you know, a lot of kids who have dreams like I did, they don't have that.
Yeah, it falls on like deaf ears.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I think kids know a lot more than you give them credit, you know? And
I do too.
I really do. I think like you should listen to your kid when they say that they want to learn how to play the guitar.
Yeah.
Because you just never know. And yeah, it's been a wild journey, but the truth is I just don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah.
This is it. There's been no plan B for me.
Yeah, me too.
It's like, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel that. And it's
That's
nice.
the only way to be, in my opinion.
If I would have had a plan B, I don't think things would be looking like they look right now.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, if there's a door, there's an exit.
I mean, I definitely should have packed it up and went home a few times.
Yeah. What do you think the hardest period of your career has been? Would you say it's the early stages, or would you say it's the stress and the pressure of success?
So when I got to Nashville, there was a guy from my hometown. His name was Jerry Cupid. And he's actually the one that taught my daddy how to play guitar. And in the late 70s, he wanted to move to Nashville and be a producer, songwriter. And my grandfather, my daddy's daddy, gave him a little bit of money to help him move to Nashville to get started.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And he kind of became my mentor. Like every time he would come home to Baskin to see his mama, like he'd stop by my house at 9 years old and listen to the songs I was writing and be like, hey, you know, if you're writing about this blue truck, like how fast does the truck go? Like, you know, how does it make you feel and this and that, and just giving me pointers and really kind of taught me how to write a song. And years later, because he remembered what my grandpa did for him, he let me park my camper in his studio parking lot for free.
Oh, wow.
So it's crazy to see like what comes around full circle, you know, like what my granddaddy did for him, even though he's been gone, you know, it still just kind of comes around. So long story short, I was living in my camper. He and we wrote music together for 3 years. Just like every single day I'd go over to the studio, we'd write. And he got sick and he died. And it was kind of a shock to everybody. And I had to start over from square one. And so for me, it's been a lot of moments like that where I've had to I felt like, okay, I've got something going.
Yeah, it's cooking.
It's cooking. And then it kind of gets taken away, and then I have to start over and switch gears and figure out a different way. But I think that's another part of this business is just like coming up on a bunch of roadblocks and to figure out how the hell do you get around it, you know? And so that was definitely like a dark time in my life, because when you write 300 plus songs with somebody, you know, you become really close.
And you got history. They got history with your family, and there's something really nice about that.
Yeah. So that was really hard. And during that time too, I was dating a boy who got a girl pregnant.
Ooh. While he was dating you. Oh my God.
And
these boys.
It was all happening at the same time. I was like, when it rains, it pours.
Oh my God. That's kind of heartbreaking too.
Oh yeah. But I'm telling you, I learned how to just embrace the heartbreak, because I'm like,
yeah, is
this happening to me? Like, am I getting punked?
Yeah.
Is it happening just so I can have something to write about?
Yeah.
But now I'm learning how to adjust with my life changing.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure.
And then you wonder why you're anxious. You know what I mean? And then you're like,
I feel like I need to pay you for this therapy session. You got Venmo?
No, listen, therapy is the thing that saved me, because through my whole 20s, I was going through this amazing career, which I'm super grateful for. And it has nothing to do with the fans or any of that. Certainly though, you don't want to let them down or upset them. But at the end of the day, you're a human being and you're going through this experience, and you're trying to grow.
I know.
And maybe find out who you are as well. And you're trying to figure life out. And you have this success that you don't want to be ungrateful for. So you're trying to hold that and keep up with it and make everybody happy. Then you have these weird outside sources and people that have nothing to do with you didn't know who you were a year ago, kind of intruding in. And then you're dealing with all that and you get a little anxious and then you become a little edgy. And you're like, when I'm anxious, I'm very unpleasant to be around.
Same. And also I shut down.
I
lock myself in the back of the bus.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to see anybody.
Yeah.
And I consider myself a people person.
So do I.